Welcome to the Hub.
Woke up early this morning. Love me now. I got out my bed early this morning. Just for the rooster crow for days. I got out my bed early this morning, folks now. Well, I know she gone.
Can you do Miss Piggy?
No.
Kermit the Frog.
Okay, let's hear it then.
Kermit the Frog here.
Welcome to my precious home.
So we're here outside of Edmonton, Alberta, in Enoch Reserve with Ashley Callingbull. Tell me a little bit about yourself.
Well, I'm 23 years old. I grew up, born and raised here in Enoch. I'm a student, an actress, and I also do beauty pageants, and I'm also a motivational speaker. One of the reasons I got into acting, because for me, it was like a therapy, because I grew up really bad. And I grew up in poverty and I lived with abuse, so I had to express my emotions in a different way, and I felt like through art was like a way to express and release all these emotions. So I decided to do that through acting, and then beauty pageants was because of the charity work that I do, and it's a great way to raise awareness and have a platform and work with kids. So I do a lot of motivational speeches to youth about my life and everything that I've overcome. So it's good to work with them and see smiles on their faces.
Mm-hmm. And the beauty pageants?
The beauty pageants I started when I was 20. My first one was Miss Universe Canada, and then after that I got second runner-up, and the director chose me to be Miss Canada International.
Wow.
So I was the first First Nations woman to ever have like a Miss Canada title, which is a proud accomplishment, and I got to represent Canada at several different international pageants.
What was that like?
It was different, but it was a rewarding experience because I got to see how many different parts of the world and meet all these interesting people and work with all these kids, and got to work with them and speak to them, share my story, share my culture, which was number one for me.
Mm-hmm. So what's the best part about all of that for you? What's the most rewarding?
Working with kids is the best part for me. Like, I love acting, but for some reason I just love working with kids. I think it's because I had such a bad childhood. I want to make an impact somewhere and with them, and they're future leaders, so you have to get them now, and you have to inspire them and motivate them, push them. But acting, that's one of my biggest passions, and I love doing that. I love being different characters and expressing myself many different ways.
So you got your show Blackstone. Tell me a little bit about that.
Well, it's an award-winning show. I'm really proud to be a part of that show because it's really different compared to every other show I've ever seen in my life. It's very raw and controversial, and it definitely opens your eyes to things that are really going on that no one talks about. And I have an amazing cast to work with, and we're all like family, and we all know each other really well. We all get along, and I think it's probably one of my proudest accomplishments, being on that show.
Mm-hmm. And you're also a student.
Yes.
How do you find time? How do you find time to do all these things?
Oh man, I really like push myself. I've been pushing myself so hard. So what I've been doing is like working on my assignments weeks ahead of time so that they're done by the time I have to leave. So it's like I'm almost teaching myself in a way, but I'll get all my stuff done and then I'll be able to travel. Sometimes I can't go to certain events because of school, but I make it work. Like I kick my ass every day.
Mm-hmm.
I think motivational speaking is a small part to what I can actually do. Like, I want to open a center here in my community for youth after school, because what youth do is they get in trouble after school, they have nowhere to go, and I want to open like an arts place or sports, something like that, raise enough money to like keep doing it. When I'm older, it will be there for them and they'll be motivated to be there, and they'll find their passions.
Mm-hmm. Gordon Tatusis, tell me a little bit about your relationship with him.
Gordon's actually my uncle, and I grew up knowing him my whole life. He was probably one of the most inspiring people I've ever met. He was one of the main reasons I wanted to get into acting. He talked to me about releasing my emotions and everything like that, and he was so wise. If he started speaking, you would just forget everything and just fall in love with what he was saying. And I remember when I was younger, we always wanted to act together. We got to do one thing together before Blackstone, and that was a cartoon that was in Cree, and I always wanted to act on screen with him, and then I finally got to for the first season, and I'll never forget it. And now that he's not on set, you could feel the loss, like it's completely different, but I think he made Blackstone more powerful, having him on the show, not because of his character, but because of who he is.
Aside from Blackstone, you got any other acting things coming up, auditions?
Yeah, I have auditions all the time. It's just really hard to go to other auditions. I'll have to do a lot of self-taping because I live here.
Yeah.
But that's one of the main things I don't want to change about myself, is I don't want to relocate because I'm so family oriented. I feel like my family comes first, and if I want an acting job, and if I do get it, it will be from like a self-tape or an audition here. I don't think I'll ever want to leave my community because my family's the most important thing to me. But that's a thing that I have to sacrifice, but my family is more important, so I don't feel like I'm really losing anything from it.
That's awesome. That's inspiring. Makes me want to go back home right now.
Get the hell out of here.
No, I'm the same way. I'm very family oriented. You know, it's just tough being away from the family a lot. You know, so you must miss them when you go on your trips.
Yeah, or I try to get them to come with me or take them with me. My sister's coming to the event in Calgary.
Nice.
And I think it's really good for her to come because there's going to be a lot of motivational speakers there.
Wow.
And there's going to be over 18,000 youth at that event.
18,000
Yeah,
youth?
because it's at the Calgary Saddle Dome. It's called We Day, so they have like all these really inspiring people and all these artists, musicians, and they come to share their stories and affect these kids. And the most surprising thing about it to me is that these kids don't pay to go. They have to work all year doing charity work to go. So they work to go to this event. So it's something that they want to be at, and I'm glad my sister's coming. So she'll be inspired and in awe.
That's awesome. So motivational speaking, tell me a little bit about that, how it makes you feel, what you can offer to the kids, you know.
Well, when people offer to pay me, I don't really like to accept it. I think that it's good just to be there and go and to make a difference and have some impact on them. And a lot of the kids, I'll talk to them after. I don't like just talking to them, telling them about my life and then expecting that will make a difference. It does have an impact and does motivate them, but I think it's important to keep in contact with them and keep helping them. And I consider myself like a regular human being, and I am a youth still, and I think that's one of the main reasons they listen to me is because I am young still. I'm like them, but I've lived through a lot and I've overcome all these obstacles, and I live a really positive life, so I think that's why they're inspired that I didn't go down the wrong road.
Tell me about growing up in Enoch.
I grew up here till I was about 5, and I grew up really traditional, and that's how I live my life, is very positively, and I don't drink, I don't smoke, I don't do drugs. I believe in having like a clean lifestyle. But we moved away when I was 5 to go live in Hobbema, and that's when I lived through all that crap. I lived through poverty and not eating sometimes, and rationing food, picking bottles, and then I lived through a lot of physical and sexual abuse, and I think that's what made me have like really low self-esteem, and it affected me for years. And that's something I just couldn't let go. But when we finally escaped and came back here, it took me years to get over it, and I felt like I was the most worthless person in the world. And I realized one day, I don't want to ever live that life again. And I think living through those hard times, I pushed myself even farther, and that's what motivated me to give myself a good life and push myself in school, push myself in acting and everything that I can possibly do. And now that I have that mentality, I'm never going to let it go. And I had to finally grow to love myself, because if I didn't love myself or appreciate who I was, then I wasn't going to care with what I do in my life.
Are you still working through that, or is that something that, you know, motivational speaking's your outlet or acting's your outlet?
I let go of all the hard feelings that has happened to me. Like, I can't change it. I can only grow and get stronger from it. That's what I've learned. And now I'm a stronger person because of it. And I don't let the bad things in the past keep me down or keep me upset. I just think about what's going on in the future and how positive my life is going. And I just share with these kids the truth. It's the honest truth. It shocks them and they don't believe it, that I can actually be like this and be in the spotlight after all that's happened to me. I think it's important to share it because I'm a regular human being and I've lived through tragedy, but I've overcome everything.
And so I got the chance to bring you to Alaska last year, and the kids up there from where I'm from got a chance to listen to you speak, and I think a lot of them identified with your story. Do you still keep in touch with any of those people up there?
Yeah, I do. I talk to them all the time. They follow me on Instagram, Facebook,
That's
Twitter.
right. Yep,
Talk to
that's
them all
what's
the
up.
time.
Yep.
I love those kids. Those are probably one of my like favorite bunch I've talked to, because they were so involved in their culture and they were so into everything that we were doing, and so grateful for us to be there. That was probably like one of the best trips I've ever been on in my life.
Tell everybody we don't live in igloos.
Yeah, they do.
I got a 2-story igloo, got a pet polar bear.
Yeah, it was, yeah.
No, was Alaska what you expected it to be?
I thought it was going to be colder, but it was really beautiful, and the kids were unreal. I've never met kids like that before. They were different, and they weren't like urbanized kids how they are here. They were true to who they are, and they were very grateful that we were there, and that made me even more happy to be there. And I affected them, and I still talk to them, and a lot of them after my speech like opened up to me and told me things about themselves that I was a little scared to hear and like shocked, like they were going through what I was going through. And we still talk, and it's nice to know that I've gotten kids to open up about their feelings and let them go. But I always stay in contact with the kids after. I feel like that's a way of helping them get through what they're going through and be there to inspire them still.
For sure. So if you could tell people right now, if they want to succeed in what you do or whatever they do, what would you say to them?
Well, I made a quote for myself. I think I told you before. It's to love and live fearlessly. I know that sounds cliche, but when I say love, I mean, love yourself, appreciate your self-worth, and to live fearlessly. I don't live in fear of anything. I don't let any fear of not succeeding stop me from achieving my dreams and going after what I truly want. So I love and appreciate what I have, and I don't live in fear. I go for it, and I never stop.
That's awesome. Well, it's been great to be out here with you, and thanks for having us at your home. Look forward to having you on the show again maybe sometime, and look forward to seeing you in the movies and on a big stage and a bright light, all that. So,
All
thanks.
Right. Yeah, thank you.
Ashley Callingbull.
Whatever happened in that school?
Kill the Indian, save the man. They tried to whitewash us Indians.
What if they make up some story that she's a schizophrenic like her mom?
Just be careful. That's all. More people will die.
Help!
I need you to help me. You know what they do to people in here. I've got to get out. You knew the truth and you kept silent.
They thought they were taking base savages, the devil's children, and converting them into civilized human beings.
You know where she is. You tell me where she is.
So we're here with director and actress Georgina Lightning. Georgina, great to have you on the show today.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Tell me a little bit about yourself and where you're from.
Well, I'm from, was born and raised in Edmonton, Canada. My family's from Sawridge and Driftpile reservations way up north. And I lived the last 23 years in Los Angeles, raised my kids there. And they're all in the film industry, got them all in. And I'm here now. I just returned back to Edmonton a few months ago because I'm working on a trilogy, a film trilogy here.
Okay. So how did you end up coming from here and then moving to LA? That's a big move.
Yeah. I was studying at the U of A. My goal was to get a degree in the fine arts in the drama department, and I was always complaining. One of the professors there said, have you ever thought of going to one of the other schools? We don't have what you want. Like, I wanted everything. So he planted a seed, take root when that kind of stuff happened. So within a year from that time, I was packed up. I owned a home here, and I had my stuff, gave everything away except for what I could stuff into a 3-ton U-Haul. And I had a flatbed with my Jeep, my kids, and away we went to LA. And when I got there, I think school started 2 days after. So I had, bing, bang, bing, bang, boom, just kind of like I timed it to where I just started.
So did you kind of had a plan set in place when you went down there?
When I got a list of the schools that were recommended, the American Academy of Dramatic Arts stood out to me, and I really loved that approach. But the one thing about that school is, unlike other film schools, when you get accepted, you only get accepted to the first year. And you have to make the cut to come back to second year and make the cut to go to third year. So that was stressful, being a single mom going to LA, to a new country. And I was like, so I didn't know, like, am I going there for 1 year? Am I going for 3 years? I hoped it was 3 at least. And I really kind of left my mind open on what was going to happen, and I was just going to plug myself in, and I was determined to make the 3 years, and I just worked my butt off, and just, nobody even knew I had kids there. I mean, my kids are in school, and my mom was looking after my youngest, and the conservatory I was so disciplined because I just wanted to be, groom myself to be the best I could possibly be. So I just immersed myself 100%. And so I made the cut. There was a little over 360 of us the first year, like 67 of us the second year, and 15 of us the third year. So it was, it's quite a serious cut down. My kids' career just took off, What was available for me wasn't very often, but because there was such a shortage of Native actors, children, they just plugged in because they had a full-time, they had a built-in coach, right? So, yeah, and then I just started coaching a lot of actors, that kind of was my thing that I did. So I was always on the set. I'd be sitting with the director, and watching, their relationship with everybody. And a lot of the roles for Native Americans, because it's period piece, there's a lot of homework. A lot of the actors don't like to do that. So, you're dealing with the wardrobe, the set, the environment the people are in, and all that. So you're really plugged into all the departments, So I got to sit with the director and watch everything that was going on, and every now and then they'd say, what do you think about that? And I watched what they were doing, and that was my film school. And I got to see what I like and what I don't like, how things are run, like how people run their sets. And I think the most influential and the most amazing experience I had was working on Dreamkeeper. John Fusco wrote that, and it's an amazing, wonderful film. But Stephen Barron was the director, and he was just so well-mannered, and just, even when chaos was going on, he just knew how to deal with people, and he really was a mentor to me. So from that I went, I think I can do this myself. I think I can be a part of that whole thing, the production stuff, picking the stories that I love, and to work on that instead of just watering down on things that you don't get gratified with. The opportunity on Older Than America came for directing, and that's it. Now I'm affected forever. Now I found out what I want to do when I grow up.
I mean, you had some big names in there: Bradley Cooper, Adam Beach, yourself, your daughter,
Wes Studi, and Dennis Banks.
Banks.
Yeah.
And how was that?
I was lucky. It was awesome. This was going to be my first time as a director, and I wanted to surround myself with people that I knew, I was comfortable with, and that I trusted.
It's a deep film. It's very heavy, but it's something that I think most natives can identify with, as well as people once they learn it. Everybody, what kind of reaction did you get from people that didn't know what the content was about?
Well, people that had not been exposed to the knowledge of residential school, they were blown away. Probably 50% of the natives that I even saw it, they didn't even know. I mean, I didn't know about residential school until my dad took his life when I was 18. After he committed suicide, I couldn't understand that, like how somebody could do that. The natural instinct for survival is so strong. It's the strongest instinct we have, and why doesn't that kick in when you're doing something like that? Like, oh my gosh, what am I doing? And snap out of it. But then I started learning about that and studying what that, what makes a human being do that. What I was learning is what was the childhood like? Because post-traumatic stress disorder, things that really traumatic things that happen in your childhood affect you later as an adult. So what was his childhood like? And I really couldn't answer that. I had no clue. There was never any conversation or dialogue about his childhood. And then I realized there was never any with any of my aunts and uncles, and nobody talked about it. And so when I studied, and explored what residential school meant, and I learned how horrible it was, that's when, I mean, some people had good experiences, but the ones that I had talked to, were pretty traumatized in residential school. It was a pretty violent, dark place for a lot of people. So Yeah, they just didn't talk about it. So a lot of the natives that came to the screenings, after they come up and say, I had no idea, and now I understand why my mother is the way she is, or now I know why my father is that way, or I know why my grandmother could never hug me, you know, because affection and all that, there was shame in wanting affection because of the sexual kind of, you know, the abuse that happened. What's older than America is our songs, our dances, everything that we were before. We're detached from that. We have to get reconnected to that. So how can I tell a story that will help us get reconnected to that? You know, identify where the problem lies and the source and the root, and then work to move beyond that so we can become victorious instead of victims, so that we can be champions, you know. Just how do we empower each other, and how do we put that out? And that's the story that came out. Yeah.
23 awards. Did you expect it to do that well?
No, I didn't. I was surprised, and I was really, I mean, that was just one of those gifts that happens, you know. Again, I think, you know, that's validation that when you're honoring yourself and when you're honoring your intuition and the spirit inside, you know, we call it with Siwichuk, it's the spirit of the storyteller. When you're honoring that, it's just, it's going to take on its own life, and then you just got to pass it on, and it's going to be what it's going to be, and it ended up being well received by everybody, natives and non-natives, and that was really gratifying and wonderful and exciting.
So in 2010, you also got you were the recipient of the White House Project Epic Award for Emerging Artist. What's the significance of that award, and what does that mean to you?
Okay, so that was I had already done the run of the festival circuit, and it already garnered some accolades, and you know, we already had a distribution deal, and then that award came out, and it kind of just like was like wildfire, because that was by voting. So all the filmmakers were lined up, and then they did a voting system. The votes came in, and it was just overwhelming. So again, that was validation that project was meant to be. It was the right time, it was the right place, and everybody's ready for that. So because of that award, people looked at it different. It got a totally different run. It took on another life of touring around, like to Ivy League schools and to healing conferences, education conferences. I had screenings at, you know, in the government offices, people that deal with Native Americans in the government.
Is it relaxing to go back to acting after doing all this? Like, you had a lot of responsibility, directing, producing, writing, and then you just go back to acting and just being an actor on set. Is that relaxing?
I love that. I think it's such an incredible privilege. You know, whenever I get that opportunity to be an actor and just to help serve in somebody else's vision, that's a gift. I love it. And with Ron's project, with Blackstone, I think in all my film experience in the 23 years as an actor in the film industry, Blackstone's been the most rewarding and most challenging.
Wow.
You know, it allowed me to explore the different emotions and emotional qualities of that character, and it was awesome. You know, again, Blackstone's creating so many opportunities. Actually, the whole AP10 and now FNX, I mean, we've got this platform that's allowing people to really exercise their crafts a lot more. Because if we just rely on mainstream, we're not going to get anywhere. So now here we're being a part of the solution. We get to produce and create projects for two networks, you know, and it creates so many opportunities, and it really allows, like with all the TV series on AP10, it allows these actors to really exercise their craft. Like, the boom is happening, you know, and we get to watch the revolution of natives in film and natives on television.
So many people are educated through media.
Yeah.
You know, now you're getting into documentaries.
Yeah.
What's that like? What's that transition gonna be like?
See, I think that's even more, I think that can be even more of an impact on people. How do I present information that's going to really, again, pierce the consciousness, but really satisfy people, because it's something that they haven't been exposed to, which is, for me, it's to educate people in a way that allows them to form a better opinion, instead of going off of what negative stereotypes right now exist on and about Native people, you know? So if we expose the right information in the right way that's favorable to everybody, it can influence them, you know? And we can really get people supporting the whole project of healing and moving on. So to me, it's what I hope with this is we entice people or encourage people you know, by showing a healing method and a model that works for Native people, that they're encouraged to jump on a healing journey themselves.
Well, it's been great to have you on the show this afternoon.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for your time.
This is awesome.
Hope to see you again. And
Absolutely.
I look forward to seeing all your work.
Well,
I'm a big fan of yours.
Thank you so much.
Georgina Lightning. Hope you've enjoyed today's show. We look forward to seeing you again next week. So we're here today at Dene College in Shiprock, New Mexico, and we're about to meet with renowned Navajo photographer, Larry Price.
They thought the Indian people were killed off by the cowboys and they thought we were extinct. So because of that situation, I said, okay, we've got to show the world that we're still here. And so I can do it through photography.
I'm here at the Republic of Pi in North Hollywood with Rayana Zaragoza.
Can you tell me, meet me on Doheny and I'll sweep you off your feet. Take you to a movie or for something to
be able to hire Native artists, Native models, you know, and make sure that we're at the top level in the industry, like not just doing Rez shows, we're doing New York Fashion Week, I'm talking Milan, I'm talking Paris, you know, like I'm thinking big.